All right, ladies and gentlemen, the other video's uploading, the summon video's uploading. This video will drop a little bit later, but you don't care about that. You just care about when it does drop. So we are here today to dabble in the fact that, you know, this is going to be the first FC skin given to a newer general. And let me just make sure that I'm not talking out the crack of my ass. So yes, even which it doesn't make sense that Brune didn't get blessed first because it was the first one, but Vagabond's getting blessed, and obviously Saint West doesn't have one. So the importantness in this, if that's even a word, is what this signifies for the game. And this is going to be a not like a different type of review, but I do want to have some commentary on that probably towards the end of the video or somewhere in the video. You got to watch it. You know, I'm just recording it. We're going to talk about that because I definitely saw there was a decent amount of comments about, you know, the power creep and stuff like that. I do want to address that. We're going to go over his kit really quick. We're gonna see the animations because you guys already know when it's a new character I don't see shit. So I have not seen any of his animations. I don't know if they changed it a lot or changed it a little. So without further ado, Skin and Rinky Dinky Doo, let's get into it. All right, for the first time in my life, I will finally, hopefully, do this quickly. I always say that I'm going to, but I never do. But I do like to go over the base kit really quick just so we know what we're getting into, because it is somewhat important to know where you come from. And then of course we're going to see the old skill versus the new skill to see what has improved in it. All right, so you guys already know that his defense, actually his base defense, is actually relatively low. 964 is pretty bad as far as for a character that needs to have his defense scaling higher, which I do find that to be a little bit weird when you look at, you know, that, and then you look at, you know, that, you know, well, actually they're not that far away from each other, which is kind of weird. But 3,000, yeah, the journal thing that they need to fix. But it's going to be difficult for him to actually have a decent amount of defense, especially right now for most people, because he is not your character that you invested in. He's not. There's no reason for you up until this point to have invested into SCHMID unless you just liked him or saw that the Vagabond thing opened early, was like, I'm gonna keep investing and keep getting dupes. But, or maybe like I said in another video, that you saw that he was going to get an FC and thought that, you know, he's gonna become the new thing, which no one knew. His defense is an issue because you're gonna have to invest very heavily into him, and I think all gear set might have to be all blue on blue to make sure this is high enough that you're master's footstepping a lot of people. Crit is low, which is unfortunate, but it does have a high burst skill. Attack speed is where it's at. That's where, you know, you're getting the money's worth, and plus the hit. His attack is usually, you know, it's low, which is, you know, good and bad. He's going to be affected by a lot of the Rachels, the Janai, stuff like that, because his attack is relatively low. But it is what it is. So let's go into look at the skills really quickly. Look, we're going quick. We're going quick. I promise. I made a promise. As you guys already know, so this is, I'm pretty sure this isn't changing. The three the three swipes, and then that little overhead slap. Then we have the passive, which you guys already know. It's counter. You know, gains mana when he does it, if they die, or if they have a decent amount of health when it's done. All good. Flow of mana, back row allies getting the love. Master's footsteps, again, to allies with lower defense than himself. So you do have to put his defense higher and then make sure that people run into it. So he's not going to do well in certain comps, like if you try to pair him with Frankie, because Frankie's also supposed to have higher defense and his base defense is higher. So in order to get all that together under one umbrella, it will be a little bit difficult. So his whole mechanic, and especially when you look at Prey, which I'll read in like 2 seconds, is you're usually supposed to run him in a more offensive comp. That's kind of what he's always been. That's how you have characters that are in the same comp as him with lower defense, is that usually you're playing him with other more aggressive units. As we read Prey, affects the target with Prey when he hits them. Doesn't matter, he could actually hit it with a counter. It could be literally anything. As long as he hits that character, it does not apply if the target is SCHMID. Yeah. Oh, you can't Prey another SCHMID? That's funny. I don't think that was in there. They must have just added that. Restarts turn for allies except self with Master's Footstep when attacking an enemy marked with Prey can only be activated 1 time per hero each round. So what this does is that while you usually start off with the S1, if you put Prey on everyone starts taking additional turns. There's goods and bads to that. Obviously, turn timers, things like buffs, they will run out quicker, or you can also run out your other opponent's buffs quicker. But the same thing goes with debuffs as well. If you have a debuff that is on them, you are burning the time for that. Same thing with breaks. Very important because he's the only one that really makes this really obnoxious. Yeah, you have Shell, yeah, you have Lepin, you know, and other characters that do turn resetty stuff. Oh, and Glenn, FC Glenn. But this is like the epitome of extra turns. Like, this is really insane. So, and then you have Guardian, which is just for him. Reduce his own damage received by 90% when all allies except himself with the casters or with the Master's Footstep mark are alive. So if whoever you put under Master's Footstep, you have to keep them alive. And then he'll take a lot less damage, which allows him to pretty much, especially in the early game, trigger stuff. You can have him trigger Wrath procs and stuff like that, have him trigger whatever, because he's gonna take a 90% less damage. Is insane. So then you have the Gray Sword. The sword, the move that you heard like 8,000, what was it, chapter 12? This is an extensive lesson. Like, oh my god, I got so tired of hearing that, but god, it's slow. And this is just a big mana burst skill.
Just don't hold me back.
Nice little skill. Dude, I'm curious if Zeon's in the picture in the, I would think not. Beautiful animation, looks amazing. So let's go over into the FC skin. Oh baby, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this. Hey, let's look at the boy. SCHMID and Jensen, the bird is gone. It's like I said in the summon video, the bird is like, I guess he consumes it for dark energy or something like that. But here we go. Let's look at the skill preview. So let's start off with the basics. So it is different. So okay, so if the basic is changed, I have a lot of hope for everything else. It's just 2 swipes. I think he's also holding the sword differently as well too, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't paying attention to much to think of it, but yeah, just 2 swipes. Boom, boom, and no of the third. He probably doesn't need 3 hits. He's so powerful. Then we're going over here to the passive. It's a lot to read, as you guys remember. It is a lot that they added onto here. So let's just go over the thing. So when he has help for generation effects, which is on his S1, and any type of character that heals him, that has a direct heal, but not anything like Dorka. When he's at full HP, his attack will increase by 20%. It can only stack up to 5 times, and it lasts for 7 turns, which again is relevant, as I just said, with the whole aspect of turn resetting. So if his other partners and stuff like that are turn resetting, this might become a slightly problematic. You guys, I hope you understand that. Like, you might not, it might be harder to stack when you're using Prey. Because they just keep going away. But if you have a constant heal, then he'll keep it on. And same thing with FC Kylock and any other people with the corruption or the corrosion. I think it was the other one. I forgot what the other one was called. The one that gives the defense. The Prey is still there, Guardian. So then we have the Dark Blood, which is a debuff, which should be able to be cleansed, which is great because I have a couple of, I didn't use my daily fight, so we should be able to fight against SCHMID, and then also fight against him and use him at the same time. So it should be pretty easy to do some testing. If there's another living ally marked with Master's Footstep besides himself, decreases the attack and defense of an enemy that activates a damage immunity effect and the enemies in the same row by 80% for 15 turns. Now, obviously, once they trigger the damage immunity, we should see that there should be some type of icon. But what I'm really curious about is if you can cleanse it. If you can cleanse it, that would just be a really cool interaction, and it would actually be opposite of what people are saying as far as power creep goes, because the whole thing of power creep, or at least in my opinion, is that you can't do anything about it. Making this a debuff that can actually be cleansed, like the same thing like the silence moves that what is it, Rudley has, FC Rudley and FC Annie have it. I think there's one more that also has it too. Having the FC Rachel, the Prince version, whatever in it. Having the ability to cleanse those things so that you don't actually take the debuff, and Jesus, and FC Deva, to be able to take those things off, you actually have a counter to it. Like, there's actually play, like you can build a team around that to keep your unit safe from stuff like this, because keeping a debuff like this, obviously you're gonna die and you're not doing damage, so you definitely want to take this off. And then last but not least, the Faith Destroyer. If the I'm about to say if the customer. If the caster has Condemn mark, destroys 2 random Guardian Stones from the target when they're attacking, and then removes all Condemn marks. So Condemn is something that we're gonna just see here. It's when they get a kill with the 5 mana burst move, which is not, you know, that difficult to do. And what's really cool about the whole way that it works is that it's the attack You know, so one, it could be on his counter, which is not intuitive. You don't want to do it on the counter. You don't want to do it on the S2. Obviously, when you have a condemn mark, the most likely or smart thing to do, most likely will be to use it on the S1 because there's AoE hit. You would destroy 2 random Guardian Stone marks on the whole entire team. That seems more productive, in my personal opinion. So you would want to S1 into S2 if possible. So let's look at the S1. We already know what it looks like. It's the extensive lesson. Let's see what the lesson is this time. Okay, it's already different. Woo! Oh, he threw it up. Oh, my man said, make me a thumbnail. Oh, he catches it. Oh, that's so pretty. That's pretty spicy. That's like sexy and spicy. I don't even know where the M comes from, but you know, that was pretty good. And then he's healing from that, which is just insane. And next, look at this icon. You know, he's about to go the fuck in. I'm just so excited. I think my panties are getting moist right now. All right, so the Dark Blood, as you guys already know, blah, 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 blah. So boom, let's see it. I'm about to say what? It's gonna be so long because he has to transform first. Okay. Ooh. Oh, you did that. That's a very long one. I feel like I do think that the aspect of him, I like to rate these for some reason, but I do think the aspect of him turning back into his old self first is silly. It actually works in FC Bathory's thing because like there's a reflection on the water and then you see that, you know, that's her future self or whatever like that. But him being in this state and then going back to the old state to turn into the current FC state, then to use the move just seems a little stupid. So like I said, the whole aspect, what is it called? The flow chart is that you want to hit someone with the S2, but unfortunately with Prey, you still want to S1 first. You want to put the Prey on everyone to really get the thing going. Plus it's lower mana, and obviously you're gonna have this available to you first, and you're gonna have anything else. You hit everybody, the lifesteal aspect is not gonna matter too much, but it will at least, at the very least, give you your first stack of corruption, and hopefully you can still get it going. And you heal from 100% of the damage dealt, which is absurd. Seeing it everywhere to see this guy, he might actually be able to solo fights later on, because if you've been killing something else, you can kill all the backline and then have him 1v1ing a tank, and unfortunately a tank won't be able to really defend himself. Oh god, I don't want to see it again, but I'll just talk through it anyway. But the whole fact, like, if you let Tantalo stay alive for the end, that's going to be insane. You know, I think that there's a lot of implications of this that you can really utilize, and it's going to be really user-based, in my personal opinion. I broke the earth. So let's go into the loveliness that is some PvP. I don't think I need to test it in PvE because I don't know any situation in which I can. The beauty of the daily tournament fight thing is going to carry this review. So as you guys can see here, I think I can still back up on him here, right? So this guy's using SCHMID, this guy's using SCHMID, which is fantastic, and it's relatively low, especially this guy, he's low, so I can really use some testing here, and like as long as I keep losing or back out at the end of the fight, I should be fine. I'm just gonna reset this, doesn't really matter. All right, so what do we want to test out here? Obviously we want to bring in the boy and people that are going to be under Master's footsteps. So the one that I currently have, his thing is 37, so I'm going to make sure that everyone is under 37, so it makes the most sense. I'm going to be bringing in Iris because she has the cleanse, so if it happens on us, I do want to see if it gets cleansed, so we're going to bring in Iris. And then I want to find another person that actually takes away debuffs in general, which is Lepin. Her things take away debuff and damage over time, so we should be able to control that, especially if it's AoE. And then to make it easier for us to do it, Lepin also brings in damage immunity, right? And also one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that where's Tantalo? So it will affect my whole front line here. One thing to keep in mind that it does not remove damage immunity. So even though the awakened units, they're the one that get caught up in damage immunity because it's forced upon them. One, you can still kill them even before it procs or whatever, but they're going to be damage immune for several turns, so they don't necessarily quote unquote care about it. It's mostly who's in the line with that awakened unit, which is usually like Frankie or Rachel. But let's test this out. I'm gonna fight against this guy because he's a weaker opponent, so I should be able to like not have to worry about dying or anything like that. Sorry, LAKEY. Wait, so didn't I just crit? Wait, what? I'm damage immune right now.
Looks like this is
But see, look, it also triggers off Summer's Blessing. So it's definitely confirmed that Summer's Blessing triggers it, right? So that's another thing. So it definitely counters that, right? So now I get to see this. I'm gonna cleanse everyone and see if it takes away the debuff.
all be fine.
It should. So that's another thing. So it does work. So you can cleanse it perfectly fine. As you can see, all my units don't have it anymore. I'm trying to click through all of them so you guys can see it. So it does trigger off Summer's Blessing. That's big news. The reason why that's big news is because we all know for a fact that most people run like Iris. Like Iris is a very popular character. If you like, especially if you don't see people running Tantalo, but they definitely run Iris. So interesting. So that match was more productive. I'll probably just show that one because I keep losing to him on purpose. But we got to see a lot of things there. So Summer's Blessing 100% does in fact trigger SCHMID's passive. So any sort of damage immunity. So if they ever make a different version of damage immunity, we at least know that it's gonna work with that. That's impressive. We also were able to see there that if you have a skill that removes debuffs, whether it be the cleanse, which was sometimes confusing, I guess, because when Mid first got crit there, it was probably cleansed by Iris, the Iris that I have in the team. So she probably just instantly cleanses it if it's a one-time instance. But if it's AoE, you'll need a healer. But most healers in the game, their heal takes away damage over times and debuffs. So as strong as he might seem on the outside, is that there are very much counters to him. So if you're going to be running Tantalo, all you have to do is run another healer, which most people already do. And especially most people run, the most common comp right now is Tantalo and Talia, if I'm not mistaken. And they're both relatively slow. Now, probably want someone a little bit quicker than that, because if you were to wait until Talia gets a turn, you might be, you know, ending up dead. You definitely might end up dead if you wait for Talia to get her, because she's definitely slow. But if we look at her skills here, right here, you can see that this cleanses debuffs and damage over time from the heal targets on her AoE skill, and then on the lowest HP we'll get the heal on this one as well. So crazy, right? Like oh, he's broken. He's not. Like he's actually, I would say, more balanced than anything else. Like the issue that Tantalo was, why he was so stupid, is because he would just keep applying damage immunity and there was really no counter to that. There was no way to remove it or anything of that nature. Like it just kind of happened, and it happened regularly. At first we thought it was like once per round, but no, it just keeps happening, like not once per round, like once per battle, but it keeps happening every round or so, which is very pesky. But he actually has counters. You can cleanse it, you can cleanse his debuffs, you can kill his allies to reduce his guardian passive, you can heal block him so he doesn't heal. He's probably one of the most balanced units that people like that have come into the game as far as a gold. I think that he's very balanced. I think that he's perfectly fine, and I would like to know YFO in the comment section below. What do you guys think of him? I do think that, you know, he has answers, but he has answers to his answers. So I do like that. I'm definitely on board with him, you know, being somewhat balanced. But of course you can snipe out those units that are healers. You can focus the healers down first. You know, he does have a burst, he has prey, so if he want to, let's say he doesn't have 3 mana in the beginning because of, you know, Dorka shenanigans, or because of Rara target him in the beginning and she has her unlocked potential. I also didn't mention his unlocked potential, unfortunately, because I'm a bad man, that he has turn reset stuff on his unlocked potential as well. And this one being the most important in my opinion is because the return reset his own turn, because he can't really do it. He can't pray mark reset himself. But if his mana is below 3 after the skill hits, is under 3 after a skill hits, which is kind of annoying because hopefully, I think it does work like that. So if he has exactly 4 mana, he does his skill, he'll go down to 5, right? 5, he uses 3, he goes down to 2, he hits a hit. His mana, the way that mana gains in his kit is that he gains mana when he hits a hit. So then I think you need at least 5 is the magic number to do this twice in a row, which is, you know, it is what it is, but he can do it twice in a row, especially if he needs a lot of healing. He could do that. Then secondly, you do have the, you know, this one reset. He'll definitely be able to reset a turn after that. He can kill a target real quick, condemn, and then he'll have the condemn marks, and then he can auto attack a character and then breaks 2 of their guardian stones randomly, which would be fantastic. And I think this is very important, that he gains mana, 1 mana on himself, you know, just to keep his mana flowing as best he can. So I think that everything here is great. Remember, every section here is 20, so 20, 40, and then 60 if you want to unlock a faded hero anyway. I don't know what it is for the other ones, but 20, 40, 60. I still think it's a little bit strong, like hard to fully invest into him unless you're going to go up into the depths and get into that high tier of signature force to where all his stats are boosted, his friends are boosted. And I think another thing is that if they at least drop one CC or Azeon, one of the two, it doesn't have to be both, but one of them have to be in this black and white to really at least boost up the signature force group that you would want to use it. Because remember guys, the signature force is about using the characters in the actual signature in the actual region, right? So he's not gonna really do well. Like right here, you need 2 vagabonds and then you get the attack, defense, and the HP. And then, you know, this one boosts up CC, this one's gonna boost up this one boosts up SCHMID. And then eventually you're gonna get to not this one. Yeah, no, it is this one right here, right? 30% increase, right? But you need 3 vagabond heroes. So like you can throw them into the fray, but it's gonna be a big issue. They're not gonna be that strong. They don't have FCs. They're not gonna, you know, they're pretty much a detriment. Or you're using the 2 extra slots in order to just make SCHMID stronger. But the other 2 slots, it's pretty much a 3 versus 5 at that point. You know, though they'll be strong, not like they're gonna like die in 2 seconds, but you know, in the higher tiers, it's gonna be definitely a problem. Last but not least, I think people ask me for team comps. They were like, what's the best thing to run with him? One, you definitely want to run debuff cleanse, because him being in the game, people are going to be using him against you, and you definitely want to be able to cleanse debuffs. So you definitely want to have someone that's going to do that, which again is very easy. A lot of healers cleanse debuffs, and then also any unit like Iris that actually just has cleanse as a passive, so that if only at least one character on that row will not be affected by the attack and defense decreasing thing that's coming out from it. Outside of that, you definitely want to run attackers, because the whole thing of prey, or you know, or obviously prey, you want to be utilizing a character that's going to attack multiple times and actually do an effect of that. I think the best characters for that are characters that have low mana usage, like I would say like a Rachel or even like Rudley, these characters that have these relatively strong abilities that don't cost anything, so you can pretty much use them twice. Another good thing is, since he is a fast character, he'll put prey out, and then you have your slower big heavy dealers like a Valentina, Bathory, some of these characters that are slower than him, that are heavy hitters, these mages that can really do some crazy damage. And obviously eventually if Saint West gets blessed, you can even use someone like Carrie. You know, she can do some work later on if they, you know, give her a good FC and things of that nature. You have a lot of options, I'd have to say. So please get creative, honestly. Show us what you can do with your creative mind, and you can probably come up with some pretty cool comps once he becomes a little bit more popular. But I still think that he needs the rest of his region blessed in order for him to really stand out. Outside of that, you're going to be using just him by himself, probably not utilizing the other free percentage boosts, and really relying on you know, like a Garth or, you know, Rachel, some other people, Janai, to slow the other team down to really bring him out. So I think he's still a liability slightly, but for the people that are like heavy that can literally throw in 2 other units and just have them sit there, the same way when I was watching Dread use the collaboration units, and they were working just fine. So they can, you know, just like this, you could throw in Azeon and CC and they'll work just fine. But it's just like, are they gonna work better than a team comp that actually, like a Wasted Red or a Greenland, like that just naturally are strong and just strong on top of strong? Will they be able to fight that? I actually will have no idea. We'll have to see in the future. Why have votes in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, and just remember that every day at the Kashino is your lucky day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.